in long-term recovery. I got Chris Dickey with me. You're watching the Recovery Clinic. We are so glad. Sorry we're late this morning. We had some technical difficulties, but we got it figured out. We're going to show up and we're going to show out.
That's right.
And so if you haven't already smashed that like button, please do so. Share this video. We want to reach as many people as possible. Chris, what's up, my man?
Man, I'm glad to be in the studio again on Wednesday at 11 with you and you all. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us. We've got a great topic today. There's a very strong initiative taking place in Arkansas that we're excited to talk about, and then we're going to give you some updates on some upcoming events that are very important that we hope that you can all participate in. But Jimmy, this past week, I think that I've shared with our audience before that the pandemic affected me personally in my personal recovery. I did a little, I had a
Hi. Sorry, I'm working on the phone and listening to Chris and watching you guys too. So go for it.
I'm jealous of his time. Okay, I want the attention.
You got it.
Okay,
you got it.
So I struggled a little bit with some depression.
Yeah.
And I cleaned this whole garage out yesterday at my mother-in-law's house. We moved in with her this past weekend. Yeah. And I felt so good because I'm out of that. I'm out of that funk. And so sometimes I know that you relate to this, and I want to know if you relate to this too. Sometimes when we're struggling, it feels like it's never going to end.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is the new way of life.
Yeah, the roof's finna fall in.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and you're just constantly, this is the way life is going to be now.
Yeah.
But that's just not the case.
Yeah.
Life is an up and down roller coaster, but if we remain without putting anything into our system, it's an up and down roller coaster.
As long as we don't use, no matter how bad it is.
We're always progressing in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's kind of how that was yesterday, but my week's been pretty good.
Yeah, I had a really good day yesterday.
What'd you do?
I worked my butt off.
So you went into the office?
I went into the office, and then I had to leave and go meet you, prep for the show, and then at the end of the day, though, I ran a couple of miles with my son, and so that's what we've really been doing.
So I saw a recent post that you made that you ran a whole mile without stopping.
Yeah.
Take me through that, because literally like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we were just talking about how you would get there.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, well, my son would not stop running. And so I stopped a couple of times for like 3 seconds and like, whoa, but he wouldn't stop and let me take a break. So if I wasn't careful, he'd be half a block up the street. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, so I'm getting it. It looked like Barney Rubble, you know what I mean? I'm like, argh. Yeah, it was definitely, I felt accomplished.
It feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I've been telling Jimmy that I'm going to get him signed up for a 5K, and we're going to run that full 3 miles.
Not happening.
Without stopping.
You've
done a mile.
Yeah, I've done a mile.
You can go.
No, there's a big difference in a mile and 3 miles. That's a whole nother.
You just slow down a little bit.
That's a whole nother 24 minutes, man. I'm good.
No, we'll get there, man.
Yeah.
It's good. So let's see who's in here with us.
Yeah, let's check it out. We got big shout out to everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Hi, Jennifer Cope Hughes, Dwayne Cox, Alicia.
Ashley Costa always says, "Good morning, light workers." I love that description. I love that.
We're a lighthouse.
Yeah, light workers.
Yeah,
I mean,
your light is attractive.
When addiction lost a couple good soldiers.
Yeah.
I mean, we were working in the trenches on the
Yeah, we were out there.
The shady kind of things, but I love the word light workers because that's what we're doing.
That flame is attractive. It's warm. Draw to the warmth of the flame.
I like that.
You know what I mean? So if you're in recovery, you are a light worker yourself, and that I personally think that the time for people to be scared to speak out about recovery is dead and gone. Like, we can't afford that. We're losing too many people. I just lost a friend of mine, Isla Noble, just lost her a couple of days ago. And so, if you're a person in recovery, we can't really afford to worry about how people view us anymore. Like, speak up and speak out. If you got some recovery, share that. You're obligated to tell someone how they can live without dying. we can't really afford to be afraid to make a video anymore. Be a leader, step up into the light and carry that message that you don't have to die. You can lose the desire. You can find a new way to live, and you ain't got to get high, Chris, even if you want to.
Yeah, and I'm not white knuckling it.
Yeah.
I'm out here living. I'm thriving.
Yeah.
But I want to tell you, I want to mention something that you had. It was a great perspective, and I was just kind of listening to you tell this to somebody else, but I want you to revisit it.
You like my perspective?
I do like your perspective. So I've always been kind of a little bit apprehensive about social media and being out there.
Yeah.
But you said something that really opened my mind up.
Really?
Because you said, sometimes the social media can be the only vehicle that delivers hope.
That's
so
right.
tell me about that though, because you had a really great way of saying that.
So the whole concept about social media recovery, right, is like I've been taught to keep my recovery first. What I mean by that is I'm not coming in the dope house looking for you. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to fall off in the trap house and say, hey man, what are you doing?
Exactly.
You never have to get high again. I'm not stupid today. I'm not going to put my recovery in jeopardy for anything. But I can make a video, and that video can reach you safely. See, because Facebook is everywhere. It's in the dope house, it's in the recovery house, it's in the treatment centers, it's in the policymakers' hands. The message is amplified through social media. And it becomes not just a vehicle to carry a message, it becomes an armored car, Chris.
Yep.
I can go anywhere with social media. I can carry that message anywhere, and anybody can. Like if you want to really do some good and change a perception, then start making videos. I dare everybody watching right now to post a 10-second video, a public video. Hey, I'm Aaron Powell. I'm in long-term recovery. Hey, I'm Chris Dickey. I'm in long-term recovery. Hey, I'm Jen Schuler, and I support people in recovery. Watch how attractive that becomes to people.
Right. It becomes a snowball effect.
Yes.
In a positive way. So I really, had that experience with somebody on Facebook Messenger with Natural State Recovery's Facebook page. We had posted something and it resonated with somebody, and they were in a really dangerous situation, and they were like hiding in a closet with their Wi-Fi connection, messaging me about trying to get help. And so I just got the chills because that's
insane.
Well, that's exactly what this is all about.
Yeah.
You're telling it can reach you anywhere at any point of your life.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about that light worker, man. Like light can get in to anywhere.
Yeah.
Just all it needs is that little crack.
Yeah. What we got in the comments? What we got? I'm going to pick my phone up, guys. I don't want you to think, but I want to read through. Greg Hogan. I lost a friend 2 weeks ago to addiction. Hearts and prayers go out to you, Greg.
Exactly.
Greg's on your coalition, right? APART?
Mm-hmm.
He's a part of APART?
Yeah.
Nicole Smith, hashtag hope. Kathy McConnell, she is a long-term advocate for recovery. She lost a son to the disease, so we love and thank you for your support. Jennifer Bryant said, I have to talk about recovery. Aaron Powell says, you guys are awesome. Thanks, Aaron. I just actually referenced you. Brett says, what's up, guys? Me and Aiden are here watching you. Jeff Perriman's watching. Anyway, so there's a lot of comments going on.
Yeah, we're grateful. Keep them up.
Yeah, we're glad you
Tell us
guys
about
are
your
here.
successes. Tell us about your struggles. We're all here to help. That's why we created the recovery clinic, so you don't have to be on an island of one. We've spent too much time in isolation and alone, trying to figure out how to take ourselves out of active addiction.
But there's a flip side to this, right? Like let's talk about that real quick before we jump into it. Like COVID-19, okay? Like it hit a lot of people in recovery because we lost our support. But also it wasn't nothing for a lot of people in recovery. Addiction prepared us for this. A lot of us spent time in cells and isolation, in mental hospitals and in treatment centers and jails. We were ready for this. COVID-19 was a lunch break for some of us.
Well, and you got the principles of recovery.
Yeah.
That kind of let us adapt to a lot of different situations.
Yeah.
And we know that we can't do this alone. We know that we're not truly alone, that we can really find our support.
Yeah. Social media support, too.
Exactly.
That's what we were just talking about.
So are we ready to talk about today's topic?
Yeah, which is Together Arkansas. And Together Arkansas is like an initiative with Blue Cross Blue Shield, AFMC.
State Drug Director's Office.
Yeah, my boss man.
Yeah.
Who else works with them?
Well, it's an opioid response initiative started by the State Chamber of Commerce, and they've got all these different partners that help carry the message of hope, carry the message of resource. So they have a bunch of modules and like classroom style social media trainings to help employers in Arkansas better understand addiction and their employees who may be suffering from addiction. They can see the red flags, they can see the signs. It also supports the initiative of Narcan and having Narcan, and it's the overdose reversing drug, life-saving drug. It allows employers to have access to that in their organizations, in their companies, in case of an event that they may need it. So it's just another way that we're not alone. We're stronger together, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest parts of Together Arkansas. You can break one twig by itself.
Right.
But you put a bundle of twigs together, it's harder to break.
Yeah, we become a big stick.
Big stick. Hey, so we were talking about before. So you can see Jimmy and I. We're wearing what was described to us before the show as small plaid, but together we're big plaid.
Yeah, big plaid. I'm bigger plaid. So, hey, if you're watching and you just tuned in, we want to definitely encourage you to like and follow our page. We want to thank our partners at KARK. Big shout out to Ricky Williams for making all this happen. Shout out to our supervisor, the State Drug Director, Kirk Lane. And thank you for all 74 live viewers. You guys are awesome, and that's why we're here. We love you, and we want to share our recovery with you. We want to inspire you. So this says that 75% of all employers have an issue with opioid use in the workplace.
It's pretty stout.
That's insane.
3 out of 4.
I can't believe that 75% of people who are on opioids go to work. That's wild to me, because I didn't work, Chris. You did.
Not for very long.
Yeah, but you had jobs.
I mean, I wouldn't call them that. I was unemployed. So let me say this.
Yeah.
I had like 25 jobs in 5 years, and it became a game or some kind of challenge that I was going to quit before you fired me.
That's ridiculous.
I know.
Like, you were hot.
All the time.
Hey.
So,
Sorry,
I got to give you some context now, Jimmy, just to make sure you know.
that's good stuff, man.
So, I'd get these little grocery store jobs stocking shelves.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, my solutions were always worse than my problems. So I had this job doing that at a grocery store in Oregon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to get out of here. I'm missing everything with all this work stuff. Work stuff's getting in the way of my partying. So I'm in the milk cooler, and I have this crazy idea.
In the milk cooler.
In the milk cooler.
What kind of idea did you come up with?
Well, speaking of opioid, this is
big
exactly
thing.
what we're talking about.
Right.
So I
Opioid
saw a
use.
pallet, a big wooden pallet.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to hit 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm going to smash my pallet or hand with this pallet so I can go get opioids from
And get fired.
and get not get fired,
You're
get
gonna
released from
fired.
work.
You're getting fired, Chris.
So check this out. I smash my hand with this pallet. No joke.
Yeah.
Insanity of addiction.
Any length to get what you need.
Any length. So I'm smashing my hand with this pallet. Swells up a little bit.
Yeah.
My boss sends me to the ER.
Yeah.
So I go to the hospital, get
Okay.
my hand x-rayed.
This guy.
No fracture. So I said my solutions to my problems are always worse than my problems.
Yeah.
They gave me ibuprofen.
Uh-huh.
They didn't give me opioids, which that's the only reason I went.
Yeah.
And they sent me back to work in a little sling.
So
That was horrible.
Yeah.
So I went back to work and just quit. I said,
Yeah.
I can't do this.
Yeah,
But
that's hilarious.
But so, I mean, employers would have, with this initiative, I believe, would have caught that as a red flag and said, hey, man, we need to get you some help. Here's some resources. And that's the whole point of Together Arkansas.
Yeah. They're educating
employers and
on
what
not-
to do. Not only with resources for treatment, but
Yeah.
legally and operationally.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of liability if I'm there and,
Well,
and I kill myself or someone else because I'm impaired.
Yeah, so people need to understand that when you're dealing with substance use disorders, you're dealing with a healthcare issue that doesn't affect just the healthcare, but the employers, right? Like, I mean, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And they need to know how to handle us when it happens, and they need to have some ideas on how to make it preventable when you've got people in long-term recovery working for you, especially during COVID. Because I've seen people I just saw somebody with 16 years of abstinence, everyday recovery return to everyday drug use.
I'm telling you, it's real, man.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that 75% of employers have had an issue with
Yeah.
opioids in the workplace.
Yeah, of course they have.
That's a lot.
Well, of course.
But to have that big of a problem and still kind of be on the outside of the understanding, I think brings up the other side of this, which is stigma and shame.
Yeah.
It's just not normalized yet that this is a healthcare issue.
Yeah.
I would say a neglected healthcare issue.
Yeah.
On most part.
And you know how you know that stigma is in full effect?
How?
Because you've got people in long-term recovery that are afraid to let people know they're in recovery.
I was one of them.
You know, and it's not cool. You know what I mean? You stop judging me about my past and judge me on the things I do today. You know, and I'm a prime example of that, Chris. I spent my life in the grip of addiction in and out of institutions, right? But today I've went on to change history in the state of Arkansas.
Yeah. We just talked about this yesterday.
Yeah, right. Like I've done things that most normal people who never use drugs will have the chance to do. And so have you. And so, but yet I still get, you know, like I get worried that my kids will get treated different. Oh, your dad's the addict that they see on TV. I hate to use that word.
That's what they use, though.
Yeah, but that's what they call us, you know.
Junkie.
I hate that.
I know.
I hate that. Don't call me that.
No.
You know what I mean?
What I also don't like is people that are in long-term recovery or entering recovery, they start to pick up on that and normalize that language
because we made it cool.
themselves.
We made it cool.
Right.
In early recovery,
Yeah.
people like you and I made that
Yeah.
verbiage cool.
Right.
That's why they do that.
I know.
Instead of saying, hey, I'm a person, yeah, so what? I've got an addiction, but that's not all of me. I'm also a dad, a husband, a worker, a contribution to society. I got a house, cars. I'm a whole bunch of stuff
Yeah.
to Jimmy. I'm
Yeah.
not just a person in addiction.
Right. It hurts my heart when I hear people
It should.
talk down. I was like that. I was
Yeah.
brutal. I was brutal to myself.
And quit calling
I'm
yourself.
my worst critic.
And what's the other one? Chronic relapser. Man, stop saying that stupid. Boy, I almost cussed on TV. Stop saying that. If you continuously say that about yourself, of course you're going to be back and forth. You know,
I'm really big on conditioning our mind with what we say.
yeah.
And when I hear people in the fellowship or people in recovery say things like, when they're just joking, telling war stories and saying things like, I wish I could drink today. It's a hot day. I always say,
Stupid.
I always say, you better be careful saying that. Your mind might hear you.
Yeah.
I say it just like that.
Yeah,
Your
what
mind might
happens
hear
if you do drink on this hot day? I can
Play the
tell you,
tape. Play
it's
the
going to
tape.
be even hotter in that holding cell at Pulaski County Jail because you decided to have a drink on this hot day.
Right.
Now you got verbally abusive, and that turned into a domestic dispute. And
if you had a job, it might
You're
be in
fired.
jeopardy now.
Yeah, you're fired.
So, still staying in Together Arkansas's initiative, we have, especially with the pandemic, 40 million people in the U.S. were on unemployment or filing for unemployment so people in recovery, I don't care how long you have, people that were all of a sudden out of work and then lost that support and accountability.
Yeah.
This is another reason why I like this initiative because, and I know it's new. I know this is a new initiative, but the more employers we can educate about addiction and making it normal for people in long-term recovery, just to be a part of the team in a way that
Well, it's only fair.
where it's not like us and them.
Yeah.
It's not like me and you.
Yeah, we're same team.
Right, but that employer may know, like for instance, yours knows you're going to go to a meeting.
Yeah.
That's part of your job
Part
description.
of my job description.
Go.
Hey.
So those things are so important.
Yeah,
And I would say they increase productivity. Another stat here that I want to read off. There are more opioid prescriptions in Arkansas than there are people in Arkansas.
Man, woman, and child.
So, Jimmy, you had a little resource or a stat.
Yeah,
about that.
I do. So, speaking of that, on Module 2, when you're on Together Arkansas and you're talking about more opioid prescriptions than there are people in the state of Arkansas. Chris, that's talking about man, woman, and child. Okay, what's that say?
105.4 prescriptions per 100 people.
Okay.
That's prescriptions.
Yeah.
So you multiply that out by 12, 120.
So in 2019, the number was, I want to say, don't quote me on this, I may be wrong, I deal with a lot of stats with my supervisors, 98 pills per person, man, woman, child, infant, none of that mattered. For every living being that resides in the state of Arkansas, there were enough prescriptions written for each one of us to have 98 opiate pills per person.
Yes.
Stupid. That's stupid. I'm just call it what it is. That's stupid.
It's overprescribing.
There's absolutely nothing I could do.
It's definitely overprescribing.
What are you going to do with 98 pills?
Well, here's the other thing, and this is why you have programs like Arkansas Drug Take Back, because you start getting these stockpiles and they become risk for young teenagers that might accidentally get their hands on them, or someone that's, has a tendency for, addiction to suffer. But here's the thing. Not everybody's going to be addicted to those. Yes, they're highly addictive substances, opioids.
Yeah.
We're talking about Oxycontin and fentanyl and things like that. So you have, chronic pain patients that, are dependent on these pills or opioids. Yeah. They're not doing what me and you did to get them though.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere. They're not in. They don't cross the line into addiction where they're having these horrible consequences. Now, there may be some different, and we can get into this later when we have our physician on here, about alternative medicine to help with some chronic pain, because I think there's some really important research
non-narcotic
and studies out there that we can talk about. But when you have that many opioids in the hands of that many people,
they're going to circulate.
Yeah. They're going to, you're going to have people cross the line into addiction, and it's going to ruin their life.
Yeah. And I got to say something. My friend that we were talking about in the beginning of the show, the one who just overdosed, she, now granted, returned to use, right? But she had a Roxy that had fentanyl sprinkled on it, and that's how she died.
For those that might not know, what's a Roxy?
Oxycontin, or it's a Roxy.
It's a highly powered.
Yeah, it's an opiate.
Yeah.
And so she had the Roxy, and it had, from what I understand, fentanyl was sprinkled on it, or you could say laced, but it basically means the pill had laid in it, and when she ate it, it killed her. And this is someone who at one time had a high tolerance for Roxys or Oxys or whatever you want to say. And so that's what's out there, and the drugs that you think you're doing right now, Chris, you're not doing. Like anything can have fentanyl on it,
mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to say that why you brought that up.
Which is another reason why we strongly encourage carrying naloxone, which the brand name's Narcan. You can go to any pharmacy. You don't have to have a prescription for it.
Yeah, and if you got insurance, you can get it for like $6. It's cheap.
And you can call. I don't have the exact number on here, but the Harm Reduction Coalition in Arkansas sometimes has a stockpile, and they can give you them free.
Yeah. Or you can call CJI. The Criminal Justice Institute, they contract with the Office of the State Drug Director, and they can train you on Narcan administration and give you a free kit, And so that's good. What about this?
Well, I don't want to skip over this.
Okay.
I think that, we're talking about getting a Narcan kit. And,
Yeah.
Sometimes people have this mentality like, okay, if I get it, then it's just going to sit and it'll go to waste because I'll never use it.
You don't know that.
I'm telling you, this is real. It's in our state.
Yeah.
We've lost over 70,000 people last year to accidental overdose.
Yeah.
Due to the addiction
500
crisis.
500 of them was in Arkansas. 483.
Yeah. So it's kind of like if I go get a if I'm allergic to bees and I go into anaphylactic shock, there's something, I forget what it's called, but there's a reversal on that.
Yeah.
That's pretty rare too.
Yeah.
But people have it. People
Yeah.
carry it because it can save someone's life. So why wouldn't you, if you could actually have the power to save someone's life? Why wouldn't you carry it?
Well, last week on the show, the drug director was watching, and he commented 516 people had been saved this year from Narcan. That's 516 people who were saved because somebody did have a Narcan kit on them. Like, you can be the hero anyway. Just put it in your glove box, keep it with you, and if you see somebody unconscious out in public, odds are you may need to use it.
Yeah.
That simple.
Yeah, I mean, the best sentence I've ever seen on it is Narcan saves lives, period.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, period.
So you were going to read...
And dead people don't recover. You know what I mean? Dead people can't recover. So as long as they're alive, the hope is there that we can implant that seed and carry that message. I know people that have been saved by Narcan, Chris, that have went on to change the entire face of everything.
Yeah.
You know? You wanted me to hit these comments?
If we have any.
Yeah, we got a bunch.
Yeah, before we get into this next stat on Together Arkansas, let's talk about something.
Kyle Brewer said, creating a work environment where individuals feel like they can be open and honest about addiction without being judged and without losing their job. It is vital to the process of recovery to begin. Sherry Stevens said, Pulaski County and I found out, I don't know what she's talking about.
Well, back to Kyle's. I mean,
Yeah.
that's perfect because we just want to create an environment that is all-inclusive, right? In non-judgment. We're not saying go into your work with a sign that says I'm in long-term recovery.
Right.
We just got to eliminate the stigma.
Yeah.
Because when people suffer
kick
from
stigma right up. Woo!
when people suffer from addiction, they need a safe place to share that.
Yeah, and addiction is a shame-based disease. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
Everybody's
you tie morality to it.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. Scott Graves actually works for you at Natural State, right? Scott said...
What does Scott say?
He said, they just want to write the script. I've had to fight them to get a non-opiate way to get relief from my chronic pain. It took a year to get off my stimulator implanted. Took 5 minutes for me to get a script, even after I told them I have a history of addiction. That's sad.
That's happened to me too. I had a surgery, and my mom works in healthcare.
Yeah.
And I told the doctor.
Can I use your coffee cup?
Sure.
I'm gonna post this right here.
I was telling the doctor, I've red flagged myself. I said I don't need it, and he's like, no, you do.
Yeah.
You do. You're going to be in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you're a smart doctor. So I just and ended up, relapsing pretty hard.
Shane Daughtery says Big Pharma is the largest drug cartel in the country. Facts. Sean McCowan said, I've had a quadruple bypass heart surgery and I refused pain medication because of the prescription I would get afterwards. I could not take the chance.
That's pretty powerful, Sean.
Yeah, that's amazing. Scary, Crystal Holland, scary for the kids nowadays. We don't want to live in an experimental world anymore. One time could be the last time. Facts.
Facts. I hugged on a mama and a daddy that lost their son to that same thing.
Yeah.
I helped this guy with his resume. And he had big dreams for his future. And literally, he was scheduled to go into treatment, and he was going to do it one more time.
One more
to get it behind him,
more.
and then get into treatment the next day and join recovery. But he didn't have that opportunity because fentanyl took him.
Yeah. So, man, if we're not careful, the drugs that we use, no, The drugs that we used when I was growing up and when I was in active addiction, they're not the same drugs that we're using today,
Right.
right? Like they will kill you.
That's why you get some of these old crusties that kind of have lost touch. They've kind of been in this little bubble, and they don't understand the power of, I mean, I'm going to use fentanyl, the illicit fentanyl that's manufactured and is on our streets everywhere.
Right.
You know, the drug cartel, you know, some of it comes from China and it's intercepted in Mexico, and then Mexico gets it to our streets.
Right.
So I asked this question to a DEA agent. I said, if this is so powerful of a drug and it's killing this many people each year,
Yeah.
why does the cartel in China and other people who are putting this in the streets, why are they killing the people that they depend on to buy their drugs?
Crazy.
And you want to know what they said?
Right.
Because they can afford to. It's so addictive
Boy.
because they can afford the loss of life.
How do you put a
Because-
price on somebody's life?
Well, that's pure evil, but
That's
it
straight
really
drug dealing mentality.
It floored me
Yeah.
that they could just keep on pumping this stuff out
Yeah.
because they can afford the loss of life. It's not going to hurt their supply.
That's insane, man.
And-
Joe Ray says, people at my job come to me because they all know someone. I'm proud because it means I carry that message.
I love that.
Love you, Joe Ray.
So Joe Ray, that's a big deal. That's a
Yeah.
big deal. So
Yeah.
you have basically stepped out in faith, didn't worry about any kind of judgment coming your way, potentially,
Yeah.
and got the exact opposite of what a lot of us think. If I
Yeah.
come out and say it, I'm going to be judged. I got a lot of fear to come out.
My whole career was built on me sharing my
Right.
recovery.
I was kind of thrust in like Joe,
Yeah.
and then had that fear.
Yeah, for sure.
But the exact opposite happened. People started coming to me for help, and I could, find them resources. So, let me give this
Module
stat
3,
real quick.
Go for it.
7 out of 10 human resource officials reported feeling effects of drug abuse, including absenteeism, safety, decreased productivity. So let me say that a little different.
Yeah, paraphrase that for us.
In America, the U.S. loses billions of dollars each year due to loss of productivity in the workplace because of the impact of addiction.
Okay.
So there's a huge economic impact for us to get this right.
Right.
We're losing billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars each year.
Right. Right. Yeah. So they see people not showing up at work, safety hazards, and the production line stop. The initial purpose of the industry ceases to.
You don't have guys like me calling in sick or quitting
No.
because there's so much money spent in training and onboarding.
Yeah.
They've got to
I'm
continue to-
dependable today.
Right.
I show up to work
Right.
today. If I don't want to go to work, I call my boss because I got a whole bunch of leave time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're
Like,
so he's working for the state. He's got so much banked up that
I-
they will actually call him and tell him to take a vacation because he has to.
I got to. Like right now, I think I've got 280 hours built up of leave time, and then matching that in sick leave.
Would you say that you
That's
enjoy
insane.
what you do?
Oh, I love it. What do you mean? This is what I do. I get paid to help other people learn how to help people.
Right.
And
So when an employer invests in an employee
yeah.
via sending them to treatment or having some resource,
Yeah.
they net like $4 or $8. I can't remember. Instead of losing that money, it's actually you can save so much money by actually helping. So it's kind of this backwards thinking, like, oh, I don't want to look at it. It's in my workplace. I don't want to see it, but I'm losing all this money because of absenteeism, maybe some safety issues due to impaired people in the workplace,
Yeah.
and then loss of productivity.
Yeah.
You've got guys like me in the milk cooler thinking, how am I going to hurt myself to get pills? And I'm not doing my job.
Yeah.
So loss of productivity. But it's actually, you can not only help someone with their life, and become a better employee. Because I mean, let's face it, we're at our jobs a huge part of our life, and so I love Together Arkansas's initiative here with the state Chamber of Commerce that says, okay, we're going to flip this around. We're going to educate employers of how they can better have resources available if there's someone in my workplace that's struggling from addiction.
Okay.
Because it's actually going to save my company money. There's an incentive here economically.
Yeah.
And you're also doing the right thing by, humanity.
Yeah.
By helping someone be able to be a daddy, be able to be a
husband,
positive
a wife,
member of society.
Right. Yeah. Somebody that becomes a contribution instead of a burden.
A suck on the...
A suck?
Yeah.
Wait.
A job suck.
A job suck. Like, so instead of like a...
You better just move on.
Just move on, yeah. Like,
so we've got this next one that says
95% of opioid overdoses occur in the working age adult. Now, what that means is 18 to 64.
It's a big range.
That's a huge gap. Of course, we know that, right?
Yeah, but that's the workforce. That's why that number
Right.
of lost economic impact is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, that sucks.
So overdoses.
Yeah.
We increased 4.6% from 2018 to 2019.
Yeah.
Over 70,000.
Yeah.
We're trending in the wrong direction, Jimmy.
Right.
And I don't know how much of that is, part of the pandemic's consequence. But I do know people are struggling, and this is not going to go away just because we're not working on it. We have got to continue to multitask. We can continue to learn how to social distance, take care of ourselves, and take care of our families related to the pandemic and following guidelines. And I'm talking about policy. I'm talking about laws being made. I'm talking about
my language. You speak in Jimmyville
I'm talking
now.
about society and how we respond to people in the addiction crisis. Because we've got two.
Yeah.
I wrote this article that was featured in the Democrat Gazette.
I read that.
Basically says that.
I read that.
Yeah, right. We were dealing with the addiction crisis just before the pandemic crisis hit. I guess maybe that's the wrong use of words. But
before,
we're dealing with two crises. We can't just focus on one and leave the other.
Yeah, so
we can do both.
So I don't know how many lives are claimed a day by COVID, right? But I know that 219 lives a day are claimed by overdoses.
One life is lost in Arkansas every 2 days.
Yeah. Well,
and we're a small state. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So this is a good segue talking about overdoses.
Yeah.
The month of August.
Overdose awareness, yes.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it's August 31st is the International Overdose Awareness Day.
Yeah.
And we've got a couple of things to talk about.
Yeah. Fun stuff.
So you may be asking, what is International Overdose Awareness Day? Well, it's an event to create awareness.
It's a global day.
I'm just going to read this from the overdoseawarenessday.com. There's a bunch of other things if you want to go in there and find some information. But this is kind of the premise that we can all take from. Overdose Awareness Day is a global event held on the 31st of August each year and aims to raise awareness of overdose and reduce the stigma of drug-related death. That's a big deal because I've heard some really nasty comments.
Huge deal.
They deserve to die. That kind of stuff. So there's stigma in drug-related death.
Yeah. So if
because
you
have
said
a lot
that, you need to go. Listen.
You need to go repent.
Hey,
do whatever.
Listen, I'm
Cleanse
just going to
yourself.
tell you. I don't care if I get in trouble for saying this. I'm just going to tell you, Chris. Let me look at you. Let me look at the camera. If you said something like that from somebody who overdosed, you need to go pray because your butt is going straight to hell.
He said it.
That's terrible. Like I've been to more funerals than birthdays, weddings, and graduations put together in the last 2 years from people overdosing. And they were good people. They didn't deserve to die. They died too young,
And they didn't want to.
and they didn't want to die. They didn't get high thinking, "Oh, I'm going to die right now." No, that's not. That's
Right.
not.
It's just ignorance and,
Yeah.
and people that
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah. You're
people.
stupid.
I think people who sometimes are that way
Yeah.
have dealt with someone in active addiction, and addiction doesn't just affect me.
Yeah.
It affects everybody else, and so there may be a lot of resentment in there. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a nasty thing to say.
It's ugly.
So the event is to kind of curb some of that.
Sorry.
It also acknowledges the grief felt by families and friends remembering those who have died or had a permanent injury as a result of drug overdose. Two of my favorite people on the whole planet, Stacey James and Paula Cunningham,
Love them. Beautiful people.
have lost children to overdose.
Yeah.
Deborah Toman is, another someone that is in my heart, and so lots of families and friends and community members who have lost loved ones or people they cared about show up to this event because it's a way for them to honor and pay tribute.
Yeah, for sure.
So International Overdose Awareness Day spreads the message that overdose death is preventable, which it completely is. It is completely preventable. Thousands of people die each year from drug overdose. They
Right.
come from all walks of life. So there's two events. Jimmy's looking at me. I was messing with him, sorry. There's two events happening at the end of this month in August that I want to touch on real quick. The first one is a Friday, August 28th. It's going to be at the Arkansas State Capitol. There's a couple of providers that have teamed up to put this on. It's kind of like a drive-through resource from what I understand. I don't know how that is all going to work, but please show up and support that. And that's happening the 28th of August between 6 and 8 p.m. at the steps of the Capitol. It's happened there every year since the inception, so that's the one. And then the other one is August 31st at 7 p.m. at the Clinton Presidential Library. That's where we're going to meet.
Yeah.
And the Parker Gill Foundation, the Hope Movement Coalition, and Natural State Recovery Centers have teamed up to put this event on to create awareness. And one of the really cool things that we're doing is meeting at 7 p.m. and then we're going to walk on that bridge with the Can You See Me Now banners, which is a really awesome thing. It puts a face, and all these pictures are beautiful. They're smiling faces. It puts a face to the people who we've lost.
Yeah.
And you can remember them, and it removes stigma. It removes the shame because there is hope in recovery. And these courageous mamas, these courageous daddies, these courageous family members are going down there and paying on tribute to these people who they've lost in hopes that they can save someone else.
Yeah.
It's a really great way to honor the loss of life. And the really cool thing is, at sunset, when it gets a little dark, those bridges are going to light up purple. Why purple?
That's the color of recovery.
That's the color.
Yeah.
That's the color.
Yeah.
And so we're really excited about this event.
That's it. That's my color, right? Like I was talking to somebody this morning and they were like, well, where do you fall politically? And I'm like, I fall purple. That's my side. I
fall
believe-
recovery.
I fall recovery, purple, right? Like people can and do recover. We're proof of that.
Yeah.
And so great job on that event, Chris. And
Yeah.
totally good about getting
Jimmy's going to say a few words at it. Come one, come all.
I'm going to say the prayer because I love to pray. I love God.
And we have some other things going on, but that's kind of the general.
Yeah. And so also real quick, if you're watching and you're interested in taking your recovery and learning how to become a recovery specialist, which is an employable trade, it's evidence-based, it's Medicaid coverable, and you're interested in that, then email the Arkansas Peer Advisory Committee at arpeercommittee at gmail.com. AR is in Arkansas. And also,
What you got? What you got? Take it out of your pocket. You got it? You got it. What are you saying right now? I'm excited for this one.
oh yeah,
This is before the event that I just said.
yeah. So August 15th, the Recovery Awareness Day, at Indian Lake, and the address to that is 1365 Lewisburg in Austin, Arkansas. It's out off Highway 5 toward Cabot, and so it's important that you guys know we've got live music, we've got Capture the Flag between law enforcement and people in recovery. We're going to kick their butts. Like, let's be honest, they couldn't catch us when we was high. They ain't going to be able to keep up with us when we're clean. We're going to win the Capture the Flag.
Let me don't sleep on Jimmy, okay?
Don't sleep,
Don't
dude.
sleep
I've
on
been
Jimmy.
jogging a mile straight.
Look, a lot of people sleep on Jimmy.
Hey.
You know, he called me like, 2 years ago and had this idea for this kickball tournament. And I'm
Yeah.
like, Jimmy, I mean, that sounds great. I'm not sure if it's going to get any legs, but you do it. You're passionate. I'm like, supportive of Jimmy.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on him because that was a big success. But then, you have the Recovery Awareness Day, and you're wondering, okay, what is this actually going to be? With Jimmy, you never know. He's got this vision that you can't always see, but he's got it working. And so I knew it was going to be this Lake Day event, and you could rent a dock, and we're going to have some fun out there. But this thing is so big now.
Yeah,
it's insane.
It's huge. It's got like 700 replies on it. All the docks are gone except for one. And we've got MTV's Brandon Novak, best-selling author, championship skateboarder. You probably saw him on Jackass or The Adventures of Bam or Viva La Bam. Viva La Bam. Yeah. And so he'll be here, and the McShin Foundation's flying in.
It just goes to show you, though, when you set out, when you have an idea, and I think if you're just really seeking doing the right thing and trying to create something that's very positive, that brings people together, it can kind of take on a life of its own.
Yeah.
And that's what this is doing.
Yeah, and it has. And
I'm going to bring my four-wheeler out there.
Yeah, I'll have mine out there too. And the Capture the Flag, if you get hit with a water balloon or tagged, you have to go in jail until your teammate finds you and tags you.
Is Kirk Lane going out there?
So I don't know if Kirk's going to be out there, but
do we need to do a citizen's arrest on him?
I did get a phone call last night from some very political people that are coming, lawmakers, policymakers. One was a United States senator that wants to see what's happening in Arkansas, and I was like, what?
Hey, that doesn't mean.
I'm not going to speak too much more in that. I just want you guys to know that it's because of you that Arkansas is in that spotlight. It's not me. It's not Chris. It's a we thing. It ain't an I or a me thing. It's a we thing. There's no one be all and all. It's all of us in this boat together. But because of that, we're selling in such a beautiful pattern that leadership is coming down from places like D.C. That's crazy, Chris. That's crazy, man.
It's because people in recovery know how to have fun.
Yeah, we are
fun.
fun.
It's attractive. People want to be a part of it, right?
Yeah. And so, hey, listen, we love you guys. Like and share our page. Tune in next Wednesday at 11. This has been a fabulous show. Chris, did you have anything to end?
I just want to say we have a potential guest. We're trying to work out the details on it. We hope to update you probably this week if we can make it happen. But as always, we're going to have a great show, and we hope we can get this one scheduled. But we'll stay tuned. And invite your friends to like the page. Go to the page, the Recovery Clinic, where it says invite friends. Invite your friends. We need all the support. We want to carry the message. We love you guys. See you next Wednesday at 11.